モグリンだ。モグリン、モグリン、モグリンリン。
Hey guys, mahal everyone, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, bringing you guys another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. In this video, we're going to be going over the next character event hitting Global DFFOO live soon, featuring Final Fantasy Type 0's Cinque. So Cinque is going to be a character from Type 0 that is going to be joining the global roster of Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. Now guys, before I go ahead and move forward with this video, I want to direct your guys' attention to a recent partnership that I've made with the clothing brand Macletics. So if you guys are into wearing casual wear, or for those of you that are taking a part in some kind of like physical activity, Macletics is a great brand of clothing for that type of stuff. They're very comfortable, I like the material they're made out of, and I do have my very own special discount code, Saiyan20. So if you use this code on your order, if you're ordering from Macletics, you'll be getting 20% off your entire order. Please be sure to check out the links to their Instagram as well as their website store down in the video description as well as the pinned comments. So thank you Macletics for giving me this opportunity to partner with you guys as well as show off this really cool clothing that you guys produce. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and move forward with the upcoming Cinque event for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. Now joining Cinque as Synergy is gonna be Snow from Final Fantasy XIII, Kate Sith from Final Fantasy VII, and also our current Lost Chapters character, which is going to be Noctis. So those three characters are going to be joining Cinque as Synergy for this particular character event. Cinque's EX weapon, as well as her 15 and 35 CP weapons, will all be making their debut with this event, and we're going to be fighting a boss called the Bastion Giant. So this boss essentially is a Atlas type boss. So if you guys remember Atlas, which is a raid that we recently had in Global DFFOO, this boss is essentially a Atlas type monster. So if you guys are familiar with that fight, it's pretty much a very similar fight. But when we actually talk about the fight and give you guys a gameplay visual showcase, we'll get into that, moments later in the video. But anyways, we're going to talk about Cinque herself, what exactly she brings to the table as far as the roster for DFFOO, and how she's going to stack up as far as the meta, should you be pulling for her, and things like that. So we're going to kick things off with Cinque's frame debuff. So she has a frame debuff called Stun. Now remember, I talk about everything about these characters with all passives considered. So Stun is inflicted by using the base versions of her abilities Earthquake and Home Run Swing, as well as using her EX ability Whirling Mace. It can also be inflicted by her Brave Attack Plus as well as her HP Attack Plus. However, it's provided that the target enemy is already inflicted by Stun previously. Now this special debuff is stackable up to 5 stacks. It has a 4-turn duration. It decreases the enemy's defense by 20% as well as their speed by 10%. However, the values do not change with the increased stacks. At 5 stacks, it's going to be changing Cinque's abilities to their plus variants, and it is dispelled after you use the plus ability variant on the targeted enemy. It's going to be dispelled off of that enemy when you use the plus versions of her abilities. Now her Brave Attack Plus and her HP Attack Plus commands are as follows. So her Brave Attack Plus is first of all accessible while Cinque is buffed. It is a 2-hit, non-elemental melee single-target Brave Attack that inflicts 1 stack of stun if the target was previously inflicted with the stun frame debuff. Her HP Attack Plus, similar to her Brave Attack Plus, is accessible while Cinque is buffed. It heals her own Brave by 70% of her attack before she actually deals that single target HP attack, and it inflicts 1 stack of stun if the target was previously inflicted with the stun frame debuff. Now let's go ahead and take a look at her actual abilities with all passives considered, starting off with her Earthquake as well as the plus variant of Earthquake. So Earthquake is going to be a 2-hit non-elemental melee AoE Brave plus AoE HP attack. It is 3 Brave hits for the plus variant. HP damage is going to be divided amongst multiple targets. There is an overflow mechanic to this ability, 120% of max Brave. It is at 200 for the plus variant. The Brave damage potency is at 210% for the base variant. It is at 300 for the plus variant. It inflicts 3 stacks of stun to all enemies for 4 turns. It also will be inflicting a 30% defense down to all enemies for 4 turns on top of that stun debuff, and the plus variant will be dealing 1.5 times bonus weak damage to enemies already inflicted with the stun debuff. It will also be dealing 1.6 times more brave damage if you are using this ability on a single target. It grants Cinque a 40% max brave up for 6 turns, and the plus variant does not inflict stun and dispel stun on the targeted enemy. It changes her brave attack to brave attack plus while buffed, and the plus variant, keep this in mind, does have a high action delay, and this ability does have a total max usage of 7. Now her second ability is called Home Run Swing. We're going to be taking a look at the base and the plus version with all passives considered. What this ability does is it heals Cinque's brave by 70% of her attack prior to dealing the brave hits, and it's at 150% if it's the plus variant. Now it does deal a 2-hit non-elemental melee single target brave plus single target HP attack. The plus variant is 3 hits. The brave can overflow for the base version at 120% of max brave, and it's 200% for the plus variant. It has a 210% brave damage potency for the base version, 360% for the plus variant. It inflicts 3 stacks of stun on the target for 4 turns. It also grants Cinque a 40% attack up for 6 turns. And remember, the plus variant of this ability as well does not inflict stun, and it will dispel the stun debuff on the targeted enemy. It changes her HP attack to HP attack plus while buffed, and just like her previous ability, the plus variant of this ability has a high action delay with the max usage being at 8. Now the next ability we're going to take a look at is going to be her ability she gets from her 65 passive called Set Stun Brave Up. Now we're going to be taking a look at it, of course, with all passives considered. So it's going to be healing her own brave first by 50% of her attack. It'll also be increasing her crit rate by 100% for 4 turns. It's also going to be increasing her brave damage she deals while landing critical hits by 20%, and it will be inflicting 2 stacks of stun on enemies for 4 turns. The max usage of this ability is at 2. Now finally, we're going to take a look at her EX ability. Now obviously you're going to be needing her EX weapon to have access to this. It's called Whirling Mace. So Whirling Mace is a 6-hit non-elemental melee AoE brave plus single target brave attack. It increases the brave damage dealt to a single target. Brave can overflow with this ability up to 200% of max brave. It does have a whopping 600% brave damage potency, and it does heal other allies' brave by 50% of HP damage dealt, as well as inflicting 5 stacks of stun to all targets for 4 turns, and it also delays all targets by 1 turn, and it deals 50% chase units to all targets and initiates the chase sequence or the launch sequence on the enemy that is being targeted. At 2 out of 3 limit break, it does increase the max brave overflow to 250%. This does have a very slow recast speed, and it does move up to slow when you actually fully limit break it, but it is a pretty slow charging EX ability. Now her notable crystal passives are the ones that we're going to be talking about. I did mention this in a previous video that I'm only going to be talking about the passives that are actually pretty important, because any passives from 1 to 49, generally you're going to be unlocking them anyways, because we are now in the level 70 era, and there's no reason for you to not unlock those passes and use them anyways. So her notable ones are going to be Sea Level 50, Strong Airhead. That's a really funny name, but the character herself is quite an airhead, but she's also cute at the same time. So this will be increasing her attack and max brave by 20% with a CP cost of 20. At 54, she gets an aura called Buff Attack and Speed, giving her an 20% increase to attack and small speed increase while she is buffed. At 58, she gets another aura called Debuff Attack and Boost Up. It's a 20% attack and 60% max brave increase as long as an enemy is debuffed. At 65, she'll have access to that third ability called Set Stun Brave Up. And then at 68, she gets another aura called Radiance of Destruction and Power, which increases her attack and max brave by 20%. Now the next passives we're going to take a look at are going to be her extension passives. These are the ones that are going to be improving her actual abilities. So at 55, she gets Earthquake Extend. It allows the ability to inflict 30% defense down for 4 turns. It increases the brave hits to 2 for the base and 3 for the plus variant. It increases the brave damage potency for both versions by 60% for the base version and 100% for the plus variant. It allows the base version to overflow up to 120% of max brave and the plus variant to 200% of max brave. It also allows the base version of the ability to now inflict 3 stacks of stun, and it changes her brave attack to brave attack plus while buffed. Her extension for level 60 is going to be Home Run Swing Extend. It increases the Brave Heal potency to herself by 20%. It also increases the Brave Fist to 2 for the base version, as well as 3 for the plus variant. And then it also increases the Brave damage potency by 30% for the base version and 120% for the plus variant. It allows the base version to have that overflow based on 120% of max Brave, and the plus variant to jump up to 200% of max Brave. It also allows the base version to inflict 3 stacks of stun and changes her HP attack to HP attack plus while she is buffed. Finally, we're gonna have her level 70 passive, which is the Set Stun Brave Up Extend. So it's going to be improving that ability there as follows. And then finally, her Bloomstone is going to be giving her an additional usage to that third ability. The last thing we're going to be taking a look at is going to be Cinque's artifact passives. So she gets Brave Guard up 1-star, 2-star. She gets a defense increase by 5 or 10% when her Brave is at least 50% of max Brave. She also gets Mighty Earthquake 1-star, 2-star, and Mighty Home Run Swing 1-star, 2-star. Those are pretty self-explanatory. They just increase the Brave damage potency for either of those abilities if you have those artifact passives. And then afterwards, she gets Strong Airhead Boost. I still can't get enough of that passive name. 1-star, 2-star, increasing the effects of that level 50 passive. Now, the recommended artifact passives I would definitely go for Cinque is going to be Attack plus 108, Strong Airhead Boost, and Max Brave plus 330. So with everything that we've taken a look at with Cinque, what are my thoughts on this character? Is this character worth investing in? Is she a for fodder for glory character? Well, let's take a look at the positives that she brings. So first of all, she is all about damage, 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 damage. She has a defense down, not only with her stun debuff, but she also has it from her first ability. So she's like decreasing the enemy's defense by a pretty significant amount. With all the passives considered, it's like at 60%. That's a pretty huge defense reduction. So whatever she hits, she's going to be dealing the most amount of damage as possible, okay? She also has some pretty good overflows, 120% for the base versions of her abilities, and then they jump up to 200%, right? And then I really like how the plus versions just deal so much more damage with her abilities. The one thing that I don't like is that the plus versions, first of all, have a high action delay. Now, I can kind of see where they were going with this for this character. I mean, she's this airheady kind of a character that is cute, that is also super strong, that kind of, that wields this like baseball bat, kind of a mace. So I can see where they were going with this character. There's a little bit of comic relief with this character. But yeah, she does have a high action delay with the plus variance of her abilities. And to top it off, she dispels that stun debuff. So that's a bit of a problem there because she really relies on having 5 stacks of that stun debuff to really be able to deal as much damage as possible. Now let's take a look at the EX ability if you have the EX weapon on her. So I like the delay. It delays all targets by 1 turn. It also heals your allies Brave and also auto-initiates the chase, kind of like Noctis's ability 1, except now this is in the form of her EX ability. And keep in mind that the delay and the Brave heal that she provides for this EX ability happens before the actual chase. So that happens and then the chase happens. So that way, your allies are going to be taking part of the chase. They're going to have their Brave at a super high amount. So then that way you could really capitalize on the amount of chase damage that you deal. And remember, there is bonus damage whenever you initiate a chase. So whatever damage that enemy takes, it's going to be a massive amount of damage. And to top it off, she has 250% overflow, and she also has a 600% Brave damage potency. So everything looks good with Cinque, right? Lots of damage, defense reduction, pretty nice effects from her EX ability. But the problem too with her EX ability, it's also very slow. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'm playing as Cinque on my JP account, and it just takes forever to charge that EX ability. Granted, you could always pair her up with a character that is getting her EX ability or EX weapon soon called named Selfie, and her EX ability actually speeds up the recast time for your allies' EX abilities, but even then, it's just gonna bump it up to slightly slow, assuming that you've max limit broken Cinque's EX ability, so it's a pretty slow EX ability. With all this said though, should you be pulling for Cinque? So, we just recently got Noctis, and I hyped up Noctis. I talked very highly about Noctis's rework and just how powerful he is, how he can essentially cycle through his abilities and take advantage of his turn shenanigans, and how he gets a secondary hit as long as we have that debuff, on that enemy with the plus variance of his ability. So Noctis, all in all, deals more damage than Cinque. Cinque is a good character. She's by no means a bad character, but when I take a look at a DPS or a damage dealing unit character that is being released to us on DFFOO, you have to consider, does this damage dealing character, is this going to be another dime a dozen damage dealing character, or do they bring some kind of like unique mechanic that actually makes them worth it, that actually will be prolonging their usage with the current Cosmos era and jumping into the early Chaos era? With a character like Cinque, I would say probably not. What really holds her back, like I said, is she always has to dispel that 5 stacks of stun debuff after she uses the plus variance of her abilities. I really don't like how she has to dispel that, because that's what allows her to really dish out that crazy amount of damage. So essentially this character needs to set up first. It takes her at least 2 turns or 3 turns, depending on how many, on which ability rotation you want to go for her, to actually get the 5 stacks, and then she finally hits with her plus variant, right? And then she dispels it. She has to start all over again, and her EX ability just doesn't charge up fast enough. So she's a good character, I mean, but I feel like she's just not worth investing in. Now, if you are a brand new player, or if you are just somebody that recently started in DFFOO, I would say it is worth picking her gear up, because she is quite powerful. However, I would still highly advise that you would invest in Noctis first, just because Noctis is still the superior character. He's also synergy for the Cinque event, and he just does more. He just offers a whole lot more, considering that he is a damage dealing unit and he has shenanigans that you can actually capitalize on, whereas Cinque just has really high damage that, you know, forces her to reset herself every time she uses the stronger versions of her abilities. So Cinque, for me, is a pass. Now, of course, if this character is your waifu, or if you happen to really like this character, like I personally kind of like her. I think she's cute, I think she's funny, so I'm probably going to be throwing some tickets, maybe a multi for her, because I think the character is hilarious. So, you know, favorites or waifus over the meta, or over whatever anyone tells you. But for a generalized, you know, consensus, I would feel like this character is definitely a pass, and I would wait for, you know, some of the other EX weapons that we're going to be seeing later on, especially for for some of the other ones that people have been talking about in the community that are definitely worth pulling for, that are going to be lasting you a whole lot longer than Cinque will. So anyways, that also brings us to the banner. So the banner is going to first of all feature Cait Sith and Snow. Cait Sith right now, he's definitely fallen off from when he was first released. He was really good when he first came out. Now he's just kind of so-so. Like, he's great as like a substitute Brave Battery, substitute healer. You know, he still does pretty decent damage, but he's just not nowhere near as good as he used to be, especially with some of the reworks that we've seen for some of the characters, for some of the support characters that we've gotten. Snow, unfortunately, he's kind of like, his abilities look really good on paper. It's just he just doesn't deal enough damage. And with a tank like Zac, or like Warrior of Light, who we recently got, and Warrior of Light being the god tank that he is currently right now, you know, on Global, Snow, not that great of a pull. He's really not that great right now. So the banner mates, unfortunately, on this banner aren't that great. The obvious price is going to be Cinque. So let's quickly go over what the new weapons of the banners do. So the 15 CP Skull Crusher for Cinque is going to be giving her a Brave damage potency increase by 60% for both Earthquake and its plus variant. It also allows the ability to deal 1.6 times more Brave damage to a single target, as well as increases the max Brave up potency by 20% and extends the effects to 6 turns. It also allows the base version of Earthquake to inflict 2 stacks of stun. Her 35 CP Seismic Shaker will be increasing that self-Brave heal to herself by 30% for both the base and plus variant of Home Run Swing. It also increases the Brave damage potency for the ability by 60% for both versions. It also increases the attack up potency that Cinque gets by 20%, extending the effects to 6 turns. And it allows the base version of Home Run Swing to inflict 2 stacks of stun. Now her 70 CP, her EX ability, or EX weapon called Ogre Hammer, will be equipping the EX ability called Whirling Mace. So overall, like I said, I feel like Cinque is a pass for now, especially with what we already currently have, unless you're either a new player or a player that recently started DFFOO, and you may not have the roster, you know, to be able to compete with some of the harder content. So in that sense, then Cinque would be worth pulling for, but I would still highly advise investing in Noctis first, or some of the other banners that we currently have right now that's live on Global that is better than Cinque, but she's still a good character. So if you decide to pull for this character, regardless of what anyone tells you, she's still a good character. She could allow your party to dish out so much damage with Chase, and she also dishes a lot of damage herself, especially with her very, very high defense down debuffs as well as her stun debuff. Now, should you decide to pass on this banner, it does come back on her Lost Chapters. When her Lost Chapters banner comes out, her EX weapon will be able to go to its plus variant, her EX plus version, as well as having Snow's EX plus weapon featured on the banner, and Snow himself actually gets a rework, and he becomes a much better tank in when the Lost Chapters banner for Cinque comes out. So if you decide to wait and not pull on the banner now, you can always have a chance to do it again, as well as have an opportunity to pull for Snow's EX weapon. The last thing we're going to talk about is going to be the boss fight for this upcoming Cinque event. It is going to be featuring the Bastion Giant, like we talked about earlier at the beginning of the video. So the Bastion Giant is going to be an Atlas type monster. It has a weakness to ice. It has no resistances. It does have a higher chase value of 50. Some things to look out for is it has very similar features to the Atlas boss fight. It can inflict various debuffs such as initial brave down, attack down, defense down, and speed down, and it uses an ability called Gigant Punch, which raises its turn rate if it's breaking a target or already attacking a broken target. It will also be dealing consecutive brave attacks, and it further deals more consecutive brave attacks as its HP gets lower, followed by an HP attack. So make sure whoever's being targeted has a high brave amount, because if they don't and they get broken, they're likely going to get KO'd. Now, obviously, you could get around this by using somebody that has a provoke, preferably a tank. So if you use somebody like Warrior of Light or Zac, because they're like our two best tanks that we have right now in Global, they can definitely minimize the amount of damage that the rest of your allies take from all of those consecutive brave attacks. Alright guys, so we're going to be moving on with my gameplay visual showcase for the upcoming Cinque event. Now we are going to be taking the Synergy Party. I'm going to be taking Cinque, Snow, and Kate Sith. My Snow is reworked, and he does have his EX Plus weapon, so he's going to be a lot stronger with this visual showcase. And also, Kate Sith does have access now on JP to his EX weapon, so you'll get to see those in action. And we are going to be doing the Cosmos difficulty because it is going to be the difficulty we're going to be seeing when this event actually goes live on Global. So reworked Snow is quite good now. It's going to be really exciting when Global finally gets Snow's rework. We have quite a bit of ways to wait, but it is cool that he does get a rework. And like I said, one of the things that I love about DFFOO as a mobile game is some of the older characters have their chance to shine. Like, they actually have their opportunity to get rework and actually be quite usable and be quite strong for the most part. So there is Earthquake. So as you can see, she inflicted 3 stacks, considering that you have all passives equipped on her. Alright, now we're just going to go ahead and use her Brave Attack because it inflicts 1 stack provided that the enemy is already inflicted with the stun debuff. And if you guys needed a refresher, for those of you that are unfamiliar with what Snow does, essentially he has like a Brave Shield. The more damage he takes, the stronger the Brave Shield gets, and it continuously reduces the amount of Brave damage that he takes. So pretty much like he'll be receiving 0 damage or close to 0 damage when that shield is at, like, you know, its maximum potential. So it's a pretty strong Brave Shield. Alright, so we got Kate Sith. So, oh yeah, Kate Sith, I forgot, also did get a rework. One of the things that they improved is with his ability 1, it no longer needs to reach a certain Brave amount. He'll just do the HP attack right then and there, which I felt like that was one of the things that held him back when he first came out, because he needed to hit that certain Brave amount, which is like, it was like 100% or above 100% of his Brave amount, of his max Brave amount. But now that's been fixed with his rework. Okay, so we got Charmed, but that's okay. So this is going to be the boss fight. Now remember, what this boss does is consecutive Brave hits. It generally will start off with 2 when the battle starts, and then afterwards, the lower its HP gets, the more consecutive Brave hits he's going to be doing. So this is Kate Sith EX ability. He throws a bunch of dice, kind of cool. Alright, so we're going to inflict that defense down from Earthquake. Snow is unfortunately charmed, but that's okay. That is perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and refresh everybody's Brave. So he's going to attack Snow. There's one Brave attack. He should be doing another one. Yep, there we go. So as long as you don't get broken, you should be pretty safe from taking an enormous amount of damage from this boss. Very similar again to the Atlas fight, since it is an Atlas type monster. Alright, so this is Snow's EX ability. He like leaps into the air and punches the ground and deals a lot of damage, and also refreshes Provoke, which is pretty cool. And hopefully we have Cinque's EX charged. Not yet. Not quite. That's one of the things that I really hate about her EX. It just takes so long to charge. But that's okay. Next turn, we'll have it. Maybe we'll set up a summon next turn, so then we could really capitalize on it. Okay. Get everybody's Brave high, because I want to set up for some massive amount of damage. So that's one of the cool things about Cinque. Like, you could actually set up like a pretty enormous amount of damage if you have her fully built. It just takes a while to set up, and one of the things about her is that while she's good for doing that, it's just, since it takes so long to set up, wouldn't you rather have, you know, more consistent DPS? But other than that, I mean, she's still good. And I think her animations are really cute and really funny, especially when she like wields the mace like a baseball bat. So she has a lot of humor to her character. All right, so here we go. We're gonna do a lot of damage here. Look at this. So she's gonna spin around, and then she essentially batteries everybody else. So you see how much damage you could do there. It's a lot of damage. You could do a lot of damage with this character. It's just she just requires a lot of setup is the only issue. Okay, so Snow's EX again. But remember, at least her EX does inflict 5 stacks of stun, so then we could take advantage of the plus variants of her abilities. But remember, the plus variants sadly do dispel stun, which is the annoying part about her kit. Okay, so that's an indication right there that the boss is going to be using more consecutive Brave attacks. So on the global side of the game, when that happens, you just want to be careful. Make sure whoever that boss is targeting, if you decide not to bring a tank, that they have their Brave at a high amount, because they're going to be taking a lot of Brave hits. So there's one right there, and he inflicted 2 debuffs on Snow. There's another one. Do we have the EX? Oh, not yet. I really wish at least it could have at least been slow at base and then goes to slightly slow. I don't know why her EX had to be very slow at base. Again, I have a feeling it was because of the way that the character is. She's wielding a heavy weapon, so it plays along with how the character is lore-wise for DFFOO. I just think it's a little silly because she just takes... It takes so long for her to build up, that's all. That's my complaint about the character. Alright, so we have Snow's EX. We should probably refresh his actual provoke. Right, do we have it? No, we don't have it! Aye! Okay, but at least we got the defense down, so it should allow us to deal more damage. Let's actually get everybody's Brave up. Alright, so boss is going to go at it again. And good thing Snow has some pretty gnarly regens for his rework. Alright, so we're all ready and set for this. So what I'm going to do... let's just use Kate's EX, and then afterwards we should have Cinque's EX ready. So we could dish out more damage in the chase. Boom. All right. So see, that's so much fun to do. I have to admit, when you actually land that EX ability, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see. It's a lot of fun to see all that damage pile up. Okay, so he's targeting all, but that's fine. We'll just get everybody battery up. And Snow can actually self-battery himself after he uses all of his abilities, which is pretty good. So we'll do this with Snow. Boom, so now he's back to full health. Got Snow's EX, so this fight's almost over. One thing I do have to point out is that this boss does have a lot of HP, especially for the Cosmos version. So you're in for quite a long fight, so definitely taking characters like Noctis would be like your top choice, because he's going to be synergy for the actual event. But you can also take like Vayne. Vayne has pretty good longevity, and he's also like one of the best characters in the game right now for Global. Warrior of Light obviously would probably be your tank of choice. That way he could provoke, and at the same time he could also shield everybody in the event of that AoE attack that we just witnessed a few turns earlier. But since there is just one boss, you could probably have a lot of fun doing a lot of delay shenanigans. Okay, it's gonna follow up with an AoE HP attack. Ouch! HP attack. Okay, so we have the EX ability again, which is awesome. So remember, the battery and the delay happens before the launch, so that's one of the plus sides about this EX ability. And is it just me, or did my HP attack for Katesip glitch out there? I think that was a glitch, because the HP attack command was like transparent. I don't know if you guys saw that. Alright, so that is going to be the gameplay visual showcase. A little bit of a long fight because the boss has a lot of HP, but there's only one boss, so it shouldn't be too difficult, provided that you have, the right party comp. Definitely you want to take a tank. It's going to help out a lot, especially if the tank can provoke, so Warrior of Light or Zac, either one of those two. Preferably Warrior of Light, just because he could shield everybody. And then afterwards, delay shenanigans or like Vayne plus Noctis shenanigans would definitely help keep the boss from taking as many turns as possible, because once he gets a turn, he deals those consecutive brave hits. Alright guys, so hopefully this video helps you guys out in preparing for the upcoming Cinque event going live soon on Global DFFOO. Don't forget to check out the links down below, especially for my recent partnership with McCletics clothing brand. That way you guys can get a discount if you guys decide to order from them. This is 40 the Broadway Saiyan. Stay tuned for the next video, and mahal everyone.